Corvus Belli, makers of Infinity, are world renowned for making some of the most beautiful and stunning miniatures. But you know what? It's not always been that way. Welcome to the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and today we are going to take a look at some of the slight, shall we say, misfires from the Infinity back catalogue. When I say misfires, that could be taken a lot of different ways. And first of all, let's talk very briefly about my criteria for how I have selected these miniatures you're going to see today. What I've not done, what I've removed or tried to remove from the equation, is ones that have aged badly due to the style. There was a period of time when all Infinity miniatures had a big head, weirdly shaped guns, carrots on the end if you were nomads. They just looked a bit weird. I've tried to take that out of the equation. I've tried to get some miniatures that are, a lot of them are stupidly posed, awkwardly posed, or just in some way, shape or form, something about them ain't right. So we're going to take a look at that one. Before we do, like, share, subscribe. Thank you, as ever, to members and Patreons, especially to, we now have like three. I have three names that I have to call out, which is slightly going to drive me insane. But a big thank you to the Mighty Joe Rogers, the epic Runic Wolf, who's joined only 15 days ago, and Chaos Discordia, who, despite joining 4 months ago, I've forgotten to call out every time I've done a video. So I do apologise for that one, Chaos Discordia. I owe you a beer should we ever meet. Now, let's get into this. And we're going to start off with some honourable mentions, because these three, yeah, no. From the top left, if you're not familiar, that is an N2 Caledonian Volunteer for Ariadna, also known as the Thirst Trap, because she went to combat half dressed, and the view from the back, you can imagine. You can see how small the skirt is. Yeah. I mean, no. Then we have Sheskin with the largest pokey stick known to man. That thing was both massive and horrific to store because it was so thin. And then we have the N2 Dactari on the right there. The Volunteer and Dactari were in this list at one point, but I took them out because they both have some incredibly enthusiastic supporters. Let's call them enthusiastic supporters. Inappropriately enthusiastic support. I didn't need the hassle. I didn't need them turning up at my house with a copy of each. I didn't need that. So know that in my soul, this is actually a top 12, and those two are in there. But today, they won't be making an appearance. But let's get into my top 10, which is actually 11, but we'll deal with that one in a minute. Miniatures, which are a bit of a goof. They're not in any order, by the way, in case you're wondering whether this is like a countdown. This is just the ones that I remembered and found and thought, yeah. So let's get into it. Oh, the original Antipodes. A lovely unit with fantastic stats. No. I know the concept behind them, but when you look at the current iteration of these bad boys, this just, no. And the carrying of the stick and the face and no. I don't like it. I don't want it. No, thank you. Not interested in those at all. I think the controller looks fine. She's kind of okay, just tapping away on a little keyboard there. But I think the woofers themselves are a little bit dog soldiers, if you know your kitschy horror, and not in a good way. I mean, they're well muscled, but yeah, no, not for me. Next we have Skyler, a little bit more up to date. I think she was towards the end of N3. For me, the popping of the hip, the sticking of the booty bag, with the sort of kitschy little glasses and the pose, that's more of a "hi boys" type pose than a, yeah. No, I mean, she was incredibly useful. There's no two ways about that in game. And there was a point where I knew that I needed to get one, and I didn't, because that pose just no. I think she has that flower in her hair. I think she has a flower in her. Just everything about that miniature for some reason struck me as no. No need. No, thank you. Yeah, an N2 Salamandra. Now that is a miniature which has changed a little bit, just a fraction. Why is he squatting? Why is he kind of doing the whole, I'm creeping up on it wee slowly? Like, it looks like he's going rabbit hunting in a cartoon. I don't get it. And then the big gun pointing in the air as well. The whole thing, it just feels awkward and sort of off and not quite right from my perspective. And it just doesn't work. At the one hand pointing down and slightly in the wrong direction as well. No. I don't even mind the big fin on the back, because that was a thing for N2. Everything had big fins on the back, or tiny fins to make you slowly lose your mind as you glued them on if you're a Pano player. But that pose is just a big fat nope from my perspective. Okay, next up. This is very specific, and I apologise for the cutting out of this miniature. I was not going to do anything better with this because I hate it. This is an N2 Dakini for Aleph. They have changed a lot, and in a good way. These sucked to put together. And when you put this particular one, which I believe was Dakini number 3, together, it looks like it's ice skating. Why is it ice skating, people? Why is he ice skating? He's not running, because the pose is wrong for that. He's ice skating, and I don't get it, and I don't like it. And I've just spent 20 minutes, I don't know if it's on the front of the calf, just above the foot, that white bit that's got like a triangle at the top, that was a separate thin piece you had to glue on. Dear God, I had nightmares with those. All 3, in fact 4 Dakinis if you took the HMG, all of them had these. And I recall them having a terrible bit of flash where the connection was that you had to cut off and organise, and that was horrible. And then actually trying to get it to glue on so it stuck out a bit, you had this tiny contact point because there's no recess, there's no connection there. You just had to kind of get it to sit there and hope that it stayed. And then when you were done, it looked like this, and it was ice skating. I normally took 3 Dakinis because this little one, he stayed in the box because no. None of my troops were on ice. They're not ice skating. No. Anyway, as you can tell, there's genuine trauma here with leaving this guy in the past. Goodbye. Oh, the Mobile Brigada. This is an N2 Mobile Brigada with multi-rifle. Classic, really, really useful profile, even back then and to this day. Heavy infantry for Corregidor. Wonderful unit. Who's apparently stamping on bugs with combat heels. I don't know why she's got her foot up that high, but she sort of ended up looking like she was sort of doing the can-can dance, and she was mid-step. And the problem is, the longer it stayed on the battlefield, the more you could see it, the more it became apparent, and the more frustrating it became. And when it was your lieutenant, it's like, here's my big boss. Okay, she's sort of dancing, and she's got yeah. I mean, the combat heels were, again, they were of the time. That's fine. That style of rifle, that was fine. But that pose with the foot right... She's not climbing on anything. There's not even a combat rock. It's not even a tactical rock for her to stamp on. She's just got her foot in the air. I don't know why. She doesn't know why. It just looks stupid. No, thank you. Good riddance. Goodbye. No. No, no. Right. A little bit more up to date here. In fact, current Parvati. Everything is good with Parvati above the waist. I just want to say that. Above the waist, she's fine. There is nothing. She's doing the shooty. She's got the little gizmo kit in her hand. She's doing fine. Even the hair's being dramatic and waving around. Love it. No problems with that whatsoever. Below the waist, her knees are pointing inwards and so are her toes. And it looks like she either needs the loo or she's just been shot. These are neither things that I want for a miniature that I'm fielding. I don't want her to look like she's busting for a pee. I do not want her to look like she's just been fragged. Neither of these things are good. I don't get that. It's like, it's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels, and I don't like it. It's just, yeah. I have her, I've built her. She's painted. And it's even more, when I hold the miniature, it's even more pronounced. And it's one of those things that I know I have to paint her at some point, because she's so damn useful. I might try and hunt down a limited edition miniature and sell this one. It's that level of hate, because she just looks like she needs the loo. And no thank you. No thank you. Right, there's a twofer here. A ninja and a Shikami. The limited edition Shikami even on the left. Now, aren't these beautiful miniatures? Why are they stood on a house? Why are they stood on a house? For years, Corvus Belli, we have wryly accepted the combat rock, the tactical rock. We've even taken increasingly large boxes that people have stood on, all kinds of stuff. Corpses, bodies, the new Krakot stabbing someone in the face. Brilliant, love it, fine. They're stood on a house. They are stood on houses. Why are they stood on houses? Why are they? I don't need them to be stood on a house. It not only, I mean, the Shikami is mahoosive with that blade, and he's on top. He's taller and taller and taller. I know we have silhouettes, so it's not necessarily a problem in game, but storing this damn thing, no thank you. And also with the whole bit of a building, it's a bit too heavily narrative for a game where you're putting bases together to tell a story often with your look and your feel. To have one dude that sat on a building, I don't like it. So yeah, it's a twofer on this one, guys, a 2-for-1. But I can't abide too much architecture on my bases. It's just me. I'm sorry. No, thank you, CB. Lovely miniatures apart from that, but just no more buildings, thank you. Yeah, a little bit of a theme here. I've split this one and the next one out for reasons that will become apparent. So this is the original, I think, N2 Cassandra Kusanagi, jumping over a bit of metal on the floor. I don't know why she's quite going so high. Maybe she's like dropping down from above or something. I don't know. The skirts are everywhere. She looks surprised, to be fair. She doesn't look too chuffed about the whole experience. She appears to be shooting somebody in midair while carrying a sword. Now, I'm no expert. I've never jumped off of anything with a blade in any way, shape or form. I don't feel like a combat situation where holding a combat blade and falling to the ground with your legs akimbo like that is necessarily good for one's survival chances or probability of survival. Keeping it in game there. Yeah, no. And to add to that, she's a big old metal miniature. She's a big chunky metal miniature. And what you can't see is that piece of metal that goes up under her skirts very inappropriately has a ball socket on the top of it that she needed to be glued to. Now, she was a bit of a weasel to put together because that skirt is multi-part. There's lots of different bits. You had to get them together in the exact right order. And when you do that, you discover that one of the things you should have done is glued the ball socket in place before you did the rest of the miniature. Why? Because the miniature is really damn heavy and the ball is really, really small. So you kind of have to like prop it and hold it up in place for a long period of time to make sure the damn thing didn't fall off. And she did. She used to fall off on a semi-regular basis anyway, until we got some really nasty glue on her. But yeah, so not only does she look a bit shocked and everything's everywhere, very unladylike conduct, but she was a pain in the ass to build and didn't really like staying that way. So for that reason, no. But on that theme, oh boy. Just soak it up for a minute. Look at him go. Isn't he glorious? And I think these sculpts are from N1. Now, I love the rifle. I actually love the styling of the miniature and all the rest of it. But it launched himself sideways over a piece of concrete. Now, we have here two technical sins from my perspective. Not only do we have a launching yourself over something in a dramatic way while carrying a weapon, although at least he's been a bit more sensible than Cassandra Kusanagi was, but it's also architecture. We have architecture and we have launching ourselves. These are not good. It's a nightmare to store, and I look at it. It's just, no. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he's been thrown by someone. It's just clearly not a dwarf, obviously easy to toss. But I don't know, this is a 14-year-old miniature. This is 2011, according to the copyright in the bottom left there. No, I don't like it. But I like it a lot more than that. I get the idea. I do. This Minuteman, I understand that you're kind of going for the, I'm ducking for cover and shooting backwards. He looks like he's fallen over. Now, there's recently been that excuse, or that sort of suggestion labelled at a certain newly unveiled tag with a certain very big axe. I can see that. This guy is mid-fall over. He is definitely on the way down. It's going to hurt. I mean, if you look at the bottom right, his eyes, he knows he's fallen over as well. It's just gone wrong. The pose is just off. It's a bit too dramatic. It's a bit too over the top. It's a bit too daft. And for that reason, he had to go in. Now, these have all been drawn from my memory of the various editions and the various miniatures that have come out. But are there any that you've seen over the years that you've just looked at and gone, no? And it doesn't have to be like, you know, it can be a miniature that everyone else says is brilliant. Because there's certain ones in here that I know, like I said, the Dactari and the Volunteer, that certain people were just like, these are the best thing ever. They're not. They're horrible. Stop it. Are there any that you feel that way about? Put it in the comments below. If you've got a link, I recommend the Human Sphere website where you can see all the old miniatures. If you can't find a picture of it, find it on there, I'll link it back here. And excellent work to the Human Sphere people as well. They've been invaluable in me finding the images from these nightmare fuel that I've had sticking between my ears. But yeah, if you've got any more, put them below. Let me know what you think of my list. Let me know if there's anything missing. And yeah, back with a more serious video sometime soon. And just to be clear, Corvus Belli, we do love you and we do love your work. But sometimes, guys, dear Lord. Anyway, take care, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.